Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Jeff Burningham. But before we bring up Jeff to the stage, I want to thank one of our newest and amazing sponsors, U.S. Wellness Meats, based out of Missouri. They are an amazing all grass-fed beef organization with over 25 years in the business. Everything is natural, grass-fed, again, in the state of Missouri, out of the United States of America. We want to thank U.S. Wellness Meats and their CEO, Mr. John Wood, for sponsoring this episode. Now, here he is, Jeff. How you doing today, Jeff?
Good, Marques. It's good to be with you.
You as well, my friend. So, Jeff, you're in Utah. We were chatting a little before the show. I have a large client, Trucordia, out there. Their CEO, Felix Morgan, is amazing. I met them through my other friend, Wesley Anderson, who's actually out of the Salt Lake City area as well. He owns Agency VA, which is an amazing brand in the virtual assistant insurance space. And my great friend, Chris Paradiso, Nick Hunt. I can go down the line. Amazing human beings. But Jeff, it's all about you, sir. First question.
Good
Jeff.
people in Utah, Marques. Good people in Utah all around.
First question, Jeff. What does the word authentic/authenticity mean to you?
Ooh, I love this question. I could talk about this forever. Do you want, I could go deep here. I think that authenticity is when the person you really are inside matches up perfectly with the person that the world sees. There's no longer conflict in that. And I would say that there are two parts of that. Number one, presence, showing up fully present. You and I and everyone else, Marques, are completely busy, especially in the age of AI, right? Which my book was about. We are so busy, but if we can be present, that's when the magic happens. And the second part of that is what I would say living in non-resistance to what really is the flow of the universe, the reality of our existence. So I think authenticity is being fully present with life and no longer resisting the person you're meant to be.
Being fully living and not resisting anymore and being the person you were always meant to be. I couldn't say it any better. I love that because what happens is, right, Jeff, when you stop resisting and you start, just being, right? And not trying to like do or this, you're just in a state of being, right, Jeff? That's when you're at your truest form. Love your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Like we're human beings, not human doings. What happens? I wrote this book, the last book written by a human, Becoming Wise in the Age of AI. And one of its core tenets is that as machines become better and better at doing everything, Marques, that we've been doing, what are we as humans left with? We're left with our being. Now, we may have forgotten that that's what we excel at. That's what we're best at. But it is, in fact, what we're best at is being with each other, being in relationship. And so I think that AI will bring us kind of full circle back to that.
Love that. Oh, you know what, Jeff? Tell us a little bit more about your personal backstory. Tell us a little bit more about your journey. And again, please, you talk about the last book written by a human. Please shed some more light about that awesome project.
Yeah, most importantly, I'm married to my soulmate, Sally. I have been for 26 years. We have 4 kids, 24 to 15, 3 boys and a daughter. It happens faster in Utah. I'm actually a grandpa, Marques, 18-month-old grandson. Happens fast in Utah. Big families. I just turned 49 2 days ago. But I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've started several billion-dollar companies, started a tech company as an undergrad at BYU, sold it to a NASDAQ listed firm in my mid 20s, started a real estate private equity firm called Peak Capital Partners. We've owned about $10 billion of real estate in the lifetime of the firm. Started a venture fund here in Utah. There was an undersupply of good capital and an oversupply of good entrepreneurs here in the state along the Silicon Slopes, as it's called. You'll hear about that when you're here, Marques, next week. That's the fast growing tech corridor in Utah. This was about 15 years ago. So I launched a venture fund and have been the first investor in most of the technology startups that you're going to drive past coming down I-15 from Salt Lake to Linden. You're going to drive past a bunch of technology buildings. I've been the first investor in most of those. Most recently, I ran for governor in the state of Utah in 2020. Lost during the pandemic. That was an interesting ride, a very public defeat, a very good experience for me. It was an ego death in a way. And I went into the summer of 2020 at 43 years old with space and time for the first time in my adult life. And I've been an adjunct professor actually at BYU to thousands of entrepreneurial students over the last 5 years or so. And something I always say to them, Marques, is that with space and time, anything can be created. And if you would have told me 5 years ago after the governor's race that I was going to write a book, number one, I would have said, no way. If you told me I was going to write a book about humanity and AI, I would have said, I don't think so. And so, yeah, what came out of that creative last couple years is this book that feels really poignant. It feels like it's the message of our moment, which is that as our machines become more and more intelligent, we as humans must become more wise. So the last book written by a human launched 6 months ago. It's been a national bestseller. So I've done like 150 podcasts and TV, public appearances, et cetera, et cetera. So there's my background in 2 or 3 minutes.
I love this. I love this, Jeff. So, before I get into your book and why you wrote it, and again, this kind of put this in that kind of file us away. I keep telling people if you combine human touch and element with AI in the right degree and the right formula and the right equation, you have something special. Because you have to understand AI is not going anywhere. It is the real deal. It is part of our every freaking day life. But don't forget the human element as well. You have to combine that too, because AI is a tool. It's a machine. It's going to be run by people. This is not Skynet, Terminator 2. Arnold's not going to try to fight the machines to take over. There's still people that turn the machine on. But before we get to that, right, Jeff, here's my next question. How does being authentic really help you excel in the career path or paths that you have chosen?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, AI actually, the obstacle becomes the way here. And AI returns us to our humanity. It kind of returns us to our authenticity, which is everything. So I think that a lot of people think of authenticity as self-expression, and I think that's a part of it. But like I said, I actually think it's the removal of resistance. So a lot of people don't want AI to happen, but like you said, it's going to happen. It is here. So the question is, how do we focus AI on human flourishing and not human division and destruction? It was crazy when I ran for governor in the state of Utah. Utah's a fairly homogeneous state, but I would travel from community to community and I would sit with neighbors that shared almost everything in common, but they'd been fed by the almighty algorithm of social media, like all this division and difference, and that's what they were focused on. The truth is, we're all a lot more alike than we are different. So I think when you stop resisting what reality is, authenticity naturally appears. And leadership, whether it's in a business, whether it's political, or in any case, is all about authenticity.
Before we get into your book, right, Jeff, which I'm really excited to dive into, to talk about how human element and AI need to be combined together to help humanity. One of my favorite things talking about leadership is a quote by Simon Sinek, which is leadership is about taking care of people in your charge. That's Simon Sinek's quote. One of my also favorite quotes on leadership is the following: leadership is the art of getting people to do what you want done because they want to do it. General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Jeff, please shed some light from your like I said, man, you've been in tech, you've been in politics, you're a family man, dad, grandfather, humanitarian, started, venture funds, you invest in people's dreams and get them, from, concept to reality. How do you view leadership? And how do you do and excel and showcase leadership in all the things you've done, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I'll try to sum it up into kind of simple ideas. I think leadership is about awareness, awareness of yourself, awareness of others. So the more self-aware you are of who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what maybe triggers you, what causes you to not show up as your best self, the more that you can work with that and then show up with your team. I'll say I was a quarterback and point guard in high school, so I love team sports. Marques too. It allows you to show up for your team in the right way. So that's one, awareness. The second, I think, most underrated skill of leadership, and it's why I'm kind of chose these two, is just simply kindness. The human condition, Marques, comes for us all. You and I live in different places. We have different ethnic backgrounds. I didn't play in the NFL. You didn't build you haven't built these companies. I have, like, there's a lot of differences between us. But no matter our differences, one of the core messages of my entire life, one of the biggest things I've learned is that whenever we're sitting with another human being, we're on sacred ground. And it's because we share more in common than is ever different. There are differences between us, Marques. There's diversity in the world that is meant to bring beauty and interest to this experience. And it does. But it doesn't need, those differences don't need to be our collective undoing. And I think often in the age of social media and in the terrible political environment we're in, et cetera, it feels like we're all different and we're enemies, tribes against each other. Marques, we're not enemies. We are, there's a deeper, fundamental, spiritual, I'll say in quotes, unity that unites us, no matter our differences. And so I think my point is, so I think showing up with that attitude around kindness, curiosity, and empathy is always crucial in leadership. That's true in any regard, but especially in business.
What I really love about that last segment, Jeff, is you said that even though we're all different, we have a lot more in common, a lot more similarities like kindness, empathy, compassion, emotion, hard days, tough days, death, birth, ups, downs. And if people would start to really focus more on what we do have in common and how we can align and help each other instead of, like you said, following sometimes a lot of the rhetoric that comes from the news or division or anger or, I call those like the personality ethics, like wrath and rage and lust and anger, all these
Yeah.
things. And I rather live on the character side, like truth, perseverance, honesty, loyalty, because those are a lot more long lasting. And again,
Yeah.
Jeff, I love this because if more people thought like this, right, Jeff, we have a much better world. So let's now get
Amen.
it. Go. So let's get into your book, Jeff. Like, tell people, okay, please again say the title of your awesome book that you had written that came out, 6 months ago.
Yeah, the last book written by a human, Becoming Wise in the Age of AI, is the name of the book.
Perfect. Next question, Jeff. What is the main takeaway that you want people to gain from reading, this awesome book that you just wrote?
Yeah, and it is on Audible. I read it. So if you'd rather listen, listen.
Perfect.
If
Even
you'd
better.
rather read, it's everywhere, right? That you can find it and buy it. It's not hard to read. And I wrote the book to be a conversation starter. So I'm not hard to find online at Jeff Burningham. And I want to talk. I'm trying to start a conversation around this key idea, Marques, one that I really believe in. As our machines become more and more intelligent, and like you said, that is happening right now, like every moment of every day. AI doesn't sleep. It's continuing to iterate upon itself. It's continuing to self-learn. But I want to remind people that AI is simply a cosmic mirror to us. And it's that because it takes all of our data, all of human recorded data, and then how you interact with it, Marques, or how I, Jeff, interact with it, whatever. And it simply provides a reflection back. And as you know, a reflection can be a powerful thing because when we see things clearly, we know what needs to change. So, heads up, what needs to change in humanity? AI is here at the right moment to provide a reflection that we can choose to see or not, so that we can more accurately see, number one, who we are and where we really want to go. Do we really want to double and triple down on what I call in the book this old game of division, greed, and hate? Or can we play a new game, which is what I recommend in the book, that we pivot to a new game focused on love, authenticity, and relationship? And so that is the core message of the book, that as our machines become more and more intelligent, we as humans must become more wise. And I take people through a process of that about personal transformation. And then, honestly, the last section is about evolution. It's how we evolve our institutions, reform religion. I talk about conscious capitalism. I even talk about a new political movement that I call the human political movement.
Jeff, a lot of things I'm hearing from you, my good man, is your book is about not just starting a conversation, it's about creating community, it's
Yeah.
about creating, hope, it's about enlightening people and how they need to change their perspective and start thinking about more of, like, I call it like you can call it soft skills, you can call it like the intangible assets like kindness, compassion, empathy, or I call it attributes, right? Things you can't really see, but they're so important in our lives. And if more people, Jeff, thought like this, I feel our world would be so much better and a much more inspirational, impactful place to live. So, Jeff, here's my next question. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people think when it comes to AI? And how do you really kind of address that in your awesome book?
Yeah, I think two things I'll say real quick. Number one, AI is not a technology problem, it's a human problem. Because it's a reflection of us, this isn't a technology issue. This is a humanity issue. So, what are we going to do with that? I think that's a common misperception. Obviously, another one, and one that will continue to grow, is we need, especially to remind, again, as a father of four and a grandfather to one, AI is not human. And it's in the beautiful mess, Marques, of being human. It's winning and losing with a team. It's falling into and being out of love. Those are transformational human experiences. And those are experiences that no machine can ever have. So while AI can be a fantastic tool, I think, to help humanity transform and evolve, it is a tool. It's not human. It does not feel the ecstasy of victory like you and I have felt. It doesn't feel the great grief or pain of loss, of losing a loved one. It hasn't fallen in love. Like, we can't just be in relationship with a machine and hope to transform. Again, I think it's going to return us to this what I call this beautiful mess of being alive, of being embodied. it's going to remind us that even though being human is hard, it's also a miracle and it's beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, being a human definitely is hard. It's definitely challenging. It's got its great days, it's got its bad days. It's got its highs, it's got its lows. It's got its peaks, it's got its valleys. But Jeff is 100% right. It's a gift. It's
It
a
is.
gift to have life, to be able to say you lived on this planet and you were able to, especially in this country, have the ability to make choices and have freedom and to do things for yourself and be human. And again, go through all the trials, tribulations, ups, downs, joys, ecstasy of life is something very, very important. And again, if more people would think like Jeff, I feel our world will be a much better place. Jeff, amazing interview, my friend. Great insight to why you wrote the book, to your views, to your ups and downs. I love how you shared about your governor race, how you didn't win, how you said it like it was an ego trip, and now you've learned from it. You're giving more to humanity. You're giving back. You're helping others. You're really making a positive impact on the world, my friend. How can our global audience connect with you and also purchase and support your awesome book project?
Yeah, the last book written by a human is available anywhere you buy books: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart. Check it out. And it's also on Audible. I read it. So if you'd rather listen to it, that's a great way. Like I said, I wrote the book to be a conversation starter. It's easy to find me at my website, jeffburningham.com. That's like burning a ham.com. And then I have very mixed feelings about social media in the age of AI, as you can understand, Marcus. But I'm trying to meet the people where they're at. And I'm at Jeff Burningham on Instagram, LinkedIn, Substack, pretty much whatever your favorite social media platform is, you will find me there. I hope that your listeners will check out the book, that they'll feel the humanity in it, and then share their thoughts with me. We're growing a community with a lot of exciting events and having a good time doing it. So I appreciate the opportunity to meet you, Marcus, and to talk with you today.
Yeah, Jeff, I appreciate you. I love your energy. I love your insight. I love your wisdom. And what I love most is you're very authentic, haha, and you're very real. And people need to hear that because what happens is when you share your real stories, people connect with you on a real level. Again, AI cannot connect with you like a person can.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen that way. So start to think about it like that. And again, you heard Jeff say that's my authentic tip. But again, I want to thank US Wellness Meats for sponsoring this amazing episode. And the authentic tip, as Jeff said, we don't have an AI problem. We have a human problem. AI is the tool created by humans. It is a reflection of us. If you want to change the reflection, what do? If you don't like how you look, go to the gym, work out. Okay. You don't like your AI? Boom. Fix you, fix your programs, hire Jeff, talk to Jeff, read his book, get some insight on how to actually like what you see when that AI reflection looks back at you. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marcus show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.